Welcome back to another episode of Untold Stories. And the guest this time is our Chief Information Security Officer, Samir Ratolikar, and his senior colleagues. Now, it's a very, very critical function in bank of our size, and the group covers a gamut of activities. My first question to Samir would be, for the benefit of our viewers, explain to us what all it entails, information security in a bank of our size.
So the role of information security group, as the name suggests, is protecting the information. It could be customer information, customer transactions, or it could be, business sensitive information. The fact is today the information is stored in your, data center, which is in your information assets, or it could be stored outside. So the protecting those information assets where the information is stored, like your applications, your databases, your storage, and the communications happening by the user to all the ways to this information assets. So in protection of these complete ecosystem is what information security is all about. The bank is entrusted with the responsibility exactly to manage this information security risk appropriately, which means to identify all possible information risk, assess those risks, analyze the risks, and then give the proper risk treatment. Ideally, we are the policy body in the bank. So we define the strategy, define the policies, we design the security controls, and we take help of our friends in IT, our business technology department, at times with HR, at times with directly with the businesses if the initiative is directly going to the cloud outside the bank's data center. So with them, and we make sure that the initiatives are security wrapped and manage the risk appropriately.
So that's fascinating, Samir. And I remember, when I had joined the bank about 13 years back, we had a small, outfit, under this banner. Now it's an elaborate, structure with, experts drawn from all different fields. What has changed, Samir, in the last 10, 13 years? And how do you see, the threat changing as we go along, and also the preparedness changing as we go along?
It's a good question, Neeraj. I have to tell you the evolution of this role or of this function in the last, say, 1 or 2 decades. Say in 2001, RBI released their first internet banking guidelines. Initially, the role was more of, the IT security types to take care of the servers, to take care of the databases, to take care of the applications. But today, as the digitization evolved, the mobility proliferation has happened, I think the role has also evolved substantially well. Today, the role no more touches on the particular only a technology part or a purely IT part, but it is touching the complete ecosystem of payments, ecosystem of messaging, ecosystem of vendors and your partners and the organizations. Today, I believe fundamentally the difference 10 years back, 12 years back to now is today the role become more visible, more prominent, and perhaps I would say it's a more leadership level role where the person is expected to know not only the technological nuances for cybersecurity, but also the business strategies, how to integrate the business with the securities, with the ITs, and then handle the risk appropriately, how to make sure that the board gets sensitized. So quite an interesting shift. There is one more element, Neeraj, even in terms of the skill sets, the people, I think there is a good amount of increase we have seen. So it's an amazing shift, and it's a different era I think we are in.
How has the role of information security changed in a post-COVID world? And is this a lasting change?
I think the post-COVID, in my view, there is going to be a change in the architecture with which the accesses will happen now. All along, we had a very fixed perimeter within which we used to work. Now, there is no perimeter. All your endpoints have become, a perimeter now, and it's a new normal. There will be certain changes. There will be, a more focus on internet-based working vis-a-vis the intranet-based working now. So it's an evolution happening, wait and watch. On this point, I want to check up my colleague Manish Pal and then Rajan Chheda to answer to this particular question of how they are looking at this particular challenge, how they have ramped up their efforts.
Yes, as you said that this is an unprecedented situation, and all of us have been dealing with it together as one bank, as one team. As far as the vertical with me on cyber governance, risk and compliance is concerned, for the governance piece, it was a challenge because there are many things that we do in governance with respect to publishing metrics, giving executive reports, letting the third-party information security risk management program run, managing the phishing, mishing, and fraud dashboards. All these are dependent on activities which involve a substantial amount of interaction face-to-face with various teams. In view of the lockdown and the subsequent absence of initial access to systems, it definitely took a hit. So what we did as the Cyber GRC team was, first at a team level, we ensured that we stayed connected every day and first make sure that everybody is healthy and everybody is safe. Thereafter, we used to step into the work aspects, and teams have been able to not only share the problems which they had faced, which collectively we have addressed. Another quick thing is with respect to now seriously as a technology option, people are looking at the cloud because they have realized that if this situation is to continue, probably cloud is where people will turn to for solutions, which also then points in a direction where the bank will have to strategize and make a cloud policy from a technology standpoint and from a security standpoint.
Very important points. What we want to say is that it's a paradigm shift from information security, because if you see the last 10 years in information security, the idea was to bring everything in a single perimeter and within the organization so that somebody from outside could not come in and get access to the confidential information. So that was the school of thought when you looked at before the COVID situation. Now the school of thought is that work from home, so there will be no perimeters. It's like the internet now, where it was supposed to be for a small government organization, it was open to the world. It's similar situation that is happening now, that the boundaries of the organizations are open to anybody and everybody, because they can access your organization from anywhere. So that's the change. If you look at GOT, if I can correlate this to the Game of Thrones, the wall is broken now and the winter will soon start coming. And that's where from the area that I look at, cyber security, cyber defense, importance is that we'll have to keep the hackers away from getting into our organization. So that's the paramount importance that we work towards.
You're so right. Samir and I and my colleagues, stand witness here and how the role has changed, evolved within the system. And I can say this with a lot of pride that our information security team and the infrastructure, would be amongst the best, if not the best. When the Prime Minister, when you heard him announce the lockdown, Samir, what was your first reaction?
I think before the Prime Minister's lockdown, we have realized that this pandemic is now, really become a pandemic, and it is no more epidemic now. So understanding the gravity of the situations, we invoked the crisis management plan. The first step was to respond to it by putting our best foot forward. What are the best solutions we have at this point in time? I think we made it live. We got everybody put into place and we started. Of course, we did not want to be aggressive in rolling out the solutions. So we started a little more conservatively to see that, okay, first let us start it on our own. So one of my teammates had got himself, by giving him the work from home access, by what are the solutions we have. And then we tested the solutions, we carried out the internal vulnerability assessment, penetration testing very quickly. And I think we onboarded the people gradually by making sure that they understand the importance of information security in a work from environment. And slowly, I think we responded to the situation reasonably well.
Thank you, Samir. My question to you and your team members is, ever since the lockdown started, there have been different aspects that came into play, right? From work from home to managing the technology and digital platforms for customers. Can you cite some experiences that you and your team members have gone through during this lockdown?
Hi, Rajiv. Sure. I think we will start with Niju, because the business continuity is setting up the important point. So Niju, you can say how we have, made sure that as one bank, one team, we quickly got ourselves to the room, and then how the business continuity or the crisis management was invoked in the first week of March.
Thanks, Amir. Basically, on the COVID scenario, we were tracing it right from January, and we realized that this is go out of hand quite fast. So in Feb end is when we started with our pandemic planning, and very frankly, the pandemic plan was that 40 to 50% of your staff will not come to office. But by March first week, we realized that this is not what is going to happen. We realized what other countries are doing, typically Spain, Italy, is what we saw, that complete shutdown coming up. And that's when we invoked the crisis management plan. This is a contingency plan that has worked for two reasons. One is all the preparations that you've done. Two, right from the top, the senior management to the bottom level employee in HDFC Bank working together to make it work. The bank has to function in all circumstances, and that spirit has taken us so far.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. We learned from Samir and colleagues that the threat landscape. How has it changed when you talk to your counterparts in other parts of the world, Samir and friends? How has it changed? Does it make the organization as a whole more vulnerable? What are you hearing from others?
So Neeraj, I was reading a research. It was rightly mentioned with the facts that the world's 90% of the data is generated in the last 3.5 years. That's the era I think we are living today. Technology evolution also happened in the form of SMAC, which is the social media, the mobility, the analytics, and the cloud computing. So I think if you see the SMAC evolution happened with the technological trends, technological innovations, the data getting generated, the more and more people using the mobile devices. If you join these three threads, and form a triangle, you will find where do we stand, right? You will realize that while we all, some way or the other, stitches to these three areas, there is the other side of fraudsters. There is the other side of a dark web, which may be at the other side of the triangle. To see that these people want to leverage the same triad for their malicious gains. Okay? And as I said, it could be as simple as sending a phishing emails to the people and getting their credentials, or targeting institutions with ransomware-related mails, and unless and until the organizations paid ransom, the data remains offline. So this is a part of the story A. Story B is today the perimeter is blurred. People are talking about software-defined perimeter. People are talking about the zero-trust network architecture. So there is no defined boundary for our bank. Today, people want to access their data center applications from anywhere. That is the era today we are in. But I want my colleague Rohini to answer this point about how she is seeing the shift in the threat landscape from the endpoint area, because it's ultimately an endpoint game.
Thanks, Amir. Traditionally, we've been having all the users coming in the office premise, connecting to the endpoints. And a lot of our security controls have been, completely dependent on the user being in my network. And considering the pandemic, there has been a complete shift, right? So we really need to look at how to make the connection of the endpoint secure to my bank environment. Now, like Samir mentioned, globally, there have been a steady increase in the threats that we are seeing on the endpoints, and a large number of endpoints are getting targeted by all the attackers. And hence, it becomes all the more important that the endpoint security controls are taken into consideration. So that's the first and the most important control, that we need to make sure that all my security, whatever we have deployed, are actually working. I'm able to monitor them. And when the user is actually using the work from home solution, how secure is the connection? And post he or she connects to my environment, how do I make sure that I'm able to monitor his activities? So when we started this journey, there were a lot of senior management meetings, and we got a lot of inputs from all these, senior management. We took a lot of inputs from global agencies. We took consulting companies. We formed a group of the leading top global banks to exchange ideas in terms of what controls actually are getting deployed globally, because everyone is in this together. So all the security communities, how they are actually tackling this problem of work from home and how they are facilitating the users. So considering all these inputs, we started facilitating our bank users to make sure that we were able to monitor, track, and see their connections are secure. And that's where we are currently. And we are trying to improvise and see how we can make this more secure for the bank, also allow users to connect more smoothly, they are able to access the data better from their premise. And that's how, we are actually moving forward.
Hi Samir, at this time of COVID also, the people in the foul game are targeting accounts. What are the important things an individual, even living in rural, remotest part of the country, should keep in mind while he or she is on internet and to keep their account safe?
Yeah, hi Sanjay. I think the awareness and sensitizations is extremely crucial to make sure that the people have the safe and secure banking. Their bank will never tell people to disclose their credentials over email or phone. If they get any calls or any emails asking for these personal, very important details, they should not divulge. This is the most important things that people should be aware of. Second important aspect is we are not asking people to download any mobile apps. If people are getting any such links through their SMSs or through email, advising them to click on the link and download any mobile app, which will give them some facility or some EMI moratorium benefits, please stop. The people should download such mobile apps only from the legitimate Play stores. So I think if we keep these basic things in mind, we can have a very safe and secure banking.
COVID-19 has fundamentally changed the way that we work and do business. What are some of the leadership lessons that you will take away from this and that will stay with you, in the future as well?
Thanks, Sherna. I think from leadership perspective, I can pretty with a blink of eye, I would say that. So we are fairly a young department in the bank with a lot of young folks who are bachelors staying away from their parents. So while the cybersecurity risk has increased in the working from home or remote working scenario, I think the primary task was to make sure that the people should not miss their parents, should not feel lonely, and at the same time they don't get buckled under the pressure of this increase of cybersecurity. So I think I spoke to each one of them to make sure, give them comfort, give them a kind of little relaxed lines about telling them, and told them, boss, you guys don't worry, we are there with you. My teammates, my direct reportees, my colleagues also spoke to them one-to-one. I think giving them comfort on a regular basis helped us a lot in making sure that the people, our young team performs up to their expectations, taking care of their health, I think. So the personal touch was the most important aspect I believe is required in such exigent times.
Samisha, would you like to share a light moment that you had during this whole corona lockdown process? One light moment with you and your team that you are going to cherish and always going to remember?
I would not say a light moment, but the moment of cherish are definitely there. Having seen the people accessing the applications from their home securely was definitely a moment of joy.
What all it takes to become good information security personnel?
I think in my assessment, first a person has to be a good technologist, right? So that is the first facets or tenets I would recommend. The second, of course, is the more understanding of the business, because you can't be a technologist or information security professionals and you don't understand the business, you don't get aligned to the ultimately the business objectives. So understanding, knowing the business strategy, business journey is another extremely important quality. The facets rather. The third important point is having a good coordination and liaising with the business head in understanding about what they understand about the information security. Fourth is no jargons, and of course trying to be empathetic towards your employees is a very important aspect, and more importantly the hardworking nature, right attitude, and understanding of the criticality and what is required at that point in time.
Wonderful, Samir. Like most fraternities, your fraternity, do they have role models? Do they have a global guru that they look up to? Who's your role model?
Oh, there are many of them in information security world. There is Mr. Bruce Schneier, a fantastic cryptographic experts. And in India, we do have a couple of fantastic people who are extremely sharp in the cryptographic management. But another important name I should not forget is the Diffie-Hellman, who has written the mutual key exchange algorithms. And last but not least is the RSA team, the rivals Shami and Edelman, who have developed this asymmetric key algorithm. And then Bruce Schneier, as I said, blowfish algorithm. So these are the amazing guys we can see who have really made all of us proud.
Thank you, Samir, for this fascinating conversation that we've had. With this, we've come to an end. And it was very interesting and exciting for me and my colleagues. And I'm sure the viewers are also going to be liking it. Thank you so much and all the best.